All right, so I'm here with my girl Becca. We're gonna start with like some dry cut, piecey, swooshy bangs and then just blend them into your layers. Sort of like a hush cut, a little bit, kind of, sort of. And we started with this little triangular section here. And this is the area where I'll always cut someone's bangs. I'll start them there. So what I'll do is I'll sit my comb on their head, turn your head this way. And wherever the comb leaves the head, that's where I begin my section. That's where the hair naturally wants to fall towards the face. And it's super important because if I cut too little or too far, the bangs will sit just a little not as cute, you know? Okay, look straight ahead for me. So our goal is to have these bangs sit around cheek length. So I'm gonna actually start these about lip length because I know that I'm going to take length off when I texturize, and also it's gonna bounce up when I style. So here's my first snip. We're gonna condense everything in the middle. The reason why we're bringing everything to the center is because we're over directing these two corners to the center to get like a nice arch shape started first. All right, you ready, Becca? Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Getting a shout out from Tabitha. She says, hi, Em. Hi,
Hey,
G.
Tab. So excited to see her in New York. If you guys haven't heard already, we dropped tickets today. More tickets for Fancy Fest in New York on March 3rd. So I don't know how long they're gonna last. They sold out in 2 days when we first dropped them. So head over to my link in bio to pick up those tickets. Okay, so these are the rough draft bangs, and I typically will warn my client that they're like just joking bangs. They don't panic because they're not blended at all, right? They're just like, it's just a chunk.
It really works on her though already. Just when you push it. No, I mean, I think there's a lot, you know, the sectioning is half the battle, right? When we talk about suitability and how things fall, the way you kind of took that little triangle based on the shape of the forehead and the skull, it falls into the right place.
Absolutely. All right, now the good stuff. Ready? Turn your head to the side. So we need to blend. Well, first we need to soften this up. Then we need to blend this into all this so that there's not just like this big old drop off, right? So I'm gonna pull all this hair back and expose Becca's hairline. And we're going to mirror that hairline exactly because everyone always has these little recession points right here. And these are the guys that get in the way. These create holes in frames. So we're going to trace that hairline, right, and kind of mirror it. So looks just.
So by going deeper where the hair is thinner, you kind of make up for the lack of density?
Yeah, so when I pick it up, I can't like see through it, look straight ahead. So everything is all covered.
It's a great tip. If you just took your section diagonal back, it would be thick, then thin, then thick again.
Exactly.
Right? So this kind of compensates for that.
This is a little more precise. Just one more.
Cool.
There's the back, the front. Okay, so now we're going to over direct everything to where the hairline meets the part, right here. So I am going to comb out my section, get my fingers like right on that spot right there, stand my fingers straight up, and we're going to lift the comb upwards. I can see where that disconnect is, right there. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna blend that in. We're gonna cut from point A to point B. Point B is this right here. That's the length. So all of this can go. You ready? Mm-hmm. And I'm slide cutting upwards. Also notice that I'm moving my shears. I'm making actual cuts. I'm not actually sliding on the cuticle.
Just like little micro cuts rather than just dragging the scissors through the hair. Do you find that respects the integrity of the hair more?
It does respect the integrity of the hair more. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes just like even the sharpest scissor on dry hair, if you just pull it through the hair, it's going to pull the cuticle a bit. That little opening and closing, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like if your client's in pain, then you're probably pulling on the hair, you know?
Yeah.
If it sounds like Velcro, you're probably pulling on the hair. Okay, so we just created this little crescent shape here, which I'm super happy with, right? That's the frame. So what'll happen, and I'm omitting this because we're still gonna address this little chunk right here, so let's just like pull that out of the way. But what we just did here, we're going from short to long this way, right? And when it falls, it's now gonna fall short to long that way.
Very nice.
Creating a really nice start to her frame. There's still, you know, a little refining that we have to do, but that's a great start.
And,
right?
you know, with Becca's kind of fine, straight hair, I know you ran the iron over it, but I'm assuming it's naturally pretty straight to begin with?
It's actually pretty curly.
Whoa.
It's like wavy.
Shocker.
Like a swavy.
Crazy texture in there.
Okay, so now we're gonna address that little corner right there.
Why do you... Why do you choose to work dry?
I like dry cutting because I like to see how the hair falls as I'm cutting it. So as I'm cutting it, if I bring a piece down, I might say, okay, you know what? I don't really like that piece. I'm gonna go back in there and just whittle away at a section. So I find that I can be a little more precise.
And do you cut everyone dry all the time, or?
I don't cut everyone's hair dry. Typically, I'll cut longer hair dry. If I'm doing a lot of layer work, I'll do that dry. I personally find that if I try to do a lot of layers while the hair's wet, that I'll have to go back and like recut it and reblend it when it's dry. So I'd rather just do both things at once. It's a great question.
Do you do any razor cutting?
I do razor cut. I love razor cutting. I like razor cutting like short to medium length hair. Dry cutting is like kind of my go-to for most longer haircuts.
All right, so it looks like you're using another technique now. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So I'm still slide cutting, but just taking little kind of nibbles at the hair. And what I'm going for is I wanted to get rid of that corner, but I also wanted to see a really soft line from short to long, right? No more corner. So I'm gonna bring this back down. Same thing. I'm gonna kind of like watch where it falls. Turn your head. So that's the start to like my curtain bang right there.
Very pretty. Great suitability, just the right length and everything. I mean, you could do all of this an inch too long or an inch too short, and it just doesn't really work. Where that's the perfect length. It looks great.
Suitability. I like that word. That word. I'm gonna start using it.
How about preparing the hair? I know we're talking quite a bit about K18. Congratulations on your working with them. It's kind of awesome company, the way they focus on hairdressers and their ads. And I know you're not only an ambassador, but a model in the new campaign.
That was a really fun experience. I love K18. We've been using K18 for, Megan, like a year and a half now, like a little while. And
Megan confirms.
This is Megan, by the way. Megan says her hands. Our second camerawoman here. And I absolutely love it. I love how it's really quick and easy to use. Like it takes 4 minutes in the sink to do its job. And that you just leave it in the hair and blow dry it in. And I do a lot of blonding, a lot of transformative gray services, and I use K18 for every single one of them.
Now, your model Becca is a hairdresser here in your salon, and you use the new Damage Shield shampoo and conditioner to prep your hair at home.
I did. I used the Damage Shield shampoo first, obviously. I use that, and then I layer the mask, the molecular mask in between. I let that sit for 4 minutes. I towel dry my hair, put the molecular mask on, and then I just put the Damage Shield conditioner right over it, and then I blow my hair out when I'm done.
And what can you say about how it feels? And as a hairdresser,
it feels really silky afterwards. Like, I know that's so cliche to say, but I put the oil in before I blow dry my hair, and you can just noticeably see all the shine that it gives.
Wonderful.
Like instantly.
Yeah, like immediately.
All right, Emily, it looks like you're moving on a little bit from just kind of the face framing area.
So I went through and just refined this a little bit. I just kind of picked up the same sections, made sure I didn't miss anything. So I'm really loving how that's coming out already. I feel like once we have the style, she'll have this really cute little swingy curtain bang here and little pieces around her face. So that'll make for like a really nice ponytail. So our first section looked like this, right? It was like a little triangle. I then straightened out my section once I got over the ear. So now I'm taking a vertical section, straight up and down. Look straight ahead for me. We're gonna do that same movement. And again, put our fingers on the part, stand them up straight, lift them up. Now we're gonna grab a guide. Well, here's my guide from my previous section. But if I didn't see it, I would just grab this piece right here.
I think when you're kind of cutting like this, I mean, obviously you first have to know how to follow a guide before you can get like visual like this. Like I wouldn't say to someone out there who couldn't follow a clean guide on damp hair that they should jump right into cutting like this. Would you agree?
Yeah, you gotta be able to follow your guide.
You're gonna get lost because like here, the guide is more of a reference, it's not like a crystal clear line, and you also have to know a lot about hair.
1,000%. So that's a really great point, because sometimes when I'm teaching this class, I learn just from teaching assistants that we're taught in beauty school to like follow that guide exactly, that it's like a line that you need to snip right against. In something like this, the haircut's much more fluid, it's much softer, so like as Gerard said, the guide is more of like it's like a reference. It's like a suggestion, a little suggestion.
And what's nice about it is you can change in different places, like if based on the density, I want to take more out, I want to take less out, I want to go in deeper. But I do, you know, and you don't have to agree, but I do think that people need to learn how to follow a guide first before they jump into something like this, because you can get into trouble and get lost and, you know, kind of really lose the plan.
Absolutely. And I'll show you how to cross-check this afterwards too, because believe it or not, you can still cross-check a haircut that's done with these, you know, we're going to call them suggestion guides. Make that up right there.
How did you learn this type of cutting? Are you self-taught? Did you have any particular mentors?
So actually, I first saw something similar to this like 20 years ago. I was taking a Michael Sean Corby class at the time, and he did something very similar where he over-directed and just cut everything like straight up and straight off. And I loved the whole concept behind it, how you could still maintain like a lot of weight and thickness at the ends while giving someone seamless layers. But then I added a little more, I just started softening it up a little bit. Like I am like a texture kind of girl, and I like things to blend really well, so I just kind of combined the two, and over the years as I taught it, I tweaked the cut a little bit and changed up some of the sectionings and
made it your own. Yeah, I think that, you know, it seems to happen that way for lots of people. We get exposed to something, like somebody maybe who's watching this and this is the first time that they're seeing it. And what I always say is then, you know, you got to try it on your own, whether that's on a mannequin, on a friend, on a house model, and then make it your own. You know, like 6, 7, 8 months or years from now, this will evolve into something of your own completely. And that's the beauty of our craft.
As I'm pulling each section up, I can check where my guide is, like pulling this back so that I know that I'm there, spot on.
Now, does the scissor or the shear make a big difference for you?
I am like a swivel thumb kind of girl, so these are fancy 6-inch swivels.
Through our friend Jacob Kahn?
Yeah, they're awesome. They cut like butter. I've been using these like the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. But I've always used a swivel, and I've always preferred a longer swivel. I just feel like I have a little more range, especially when I'm slide cutting. Okay, so I'm liking how that's coming out already. I like that when I comb through it, I don't see like where the layers are, right? You can't like count them. But if I shake it up, they're there, and they're there to give volume, and later when we style this out, you'll really see them in action. Cute. Okay, now we're gonna repeat this on the other side. For those of you that weren't here in the beginning, we did a rough draft bang earlier, right? You can see that really blunt line. We just brought this to Becca's like lip length and cut straight across. And now we're gonna blend it in. So we're gonna drag this back. Look at where her hairline is, and we're going to section around it and just mirror that hairline.
Great tip right there, guys. That's totally just worth the price of admission right here. Yeah, because we deal with this a lot behind the chair, you know, weaker hairlines, recession areas, and taking your section like that helps to cure that problem.
Okay. So we're going to bring everything to this point right here where the hairline meets the part. Bring our fingertips right to that point, stand them up straight, and elevate. There's our first guide. This is point A, right? This is where the bangs end, and then point B is the length, which is right here. So everything in between is kind of like just like fair game. We're just gonna chop it off and slide cut it off. I'm moving my blades because we're not actually sliding.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, just opening and closing the shear rather than forcing it against the cuticle. And, you know, because even the sharpest shear or scissor will pull the cuticle when it's dry.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's what we're going for, right? Short to long. And again, if it's cut short to long that way, when it comes back down, it's gonna sit short to long that way. So we have that very like start to the frame, and then we still have to address this little like chunky bang right there, right? So I'm gonna pick that piece up and just isolate it.
I know lots of you are just joining us. Give us a shout out, share some love for Emily and Becca, stylist here in the salon and also model today. And share some love for K18, supporting great education in the industry. They partnered with Hairbrain this past year to bring you great education. And they make some great products that are helping hairdressers do what we love every day. The newest being Damage Shield. Shampoo,
which we prepped the
conditioner.
hair with earlier. We also prep the hair with K18's molecular repair oil before ironing it because it's a great heat protectant.
And that's this right here.
Yep. Okay, so we have a really soft bang slash frame now. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll just like kind of, I'm gonna stand on this side so you guys can see.
Myrna agrees your hairline tip is priceless.
Aw, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna cut the hair where it lives. I'm not like holding it, I'm not pinching it, I'm not elevating it, because if I were to try to do this, hold it and then cut it, when I drop it, like this isn't where the hair lives, it doesn't live in this pinch position. So when it falls, it might fall a little wonky, right? So I'm gonna comb it to where it lives, take my shears. This is why I love a swivel, okay? Because I can easily just go like this and then point my shears to point B, and I'm at point A right now, and just walk them down and clean that up.
You know, it's funny, I've tried them before, and for some reason I can never get comfortable with them. I've even tried them, you know, on a live, saying that I was trying them, and everyone was telling me I wasn't using them right.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. Which is, it was true, I wasn't. You know, I just kind of was using them the way I would normally use my shear. I've been doing it for 32 years that way, and I guess an old dog in new tricks.
It takes a minute.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, I love that that you're trying something new. I feel like
Always.
some people get stuck in their own ways, especially when we've been doing hair for a long time. But B, like when you're trying something new, just like whether you're a baby stylist or someone doing this for 30 years, like you're gonna suck at it before you're good at it, and then good at it before you're great at it, right? So like, kudos to you for trying them. And you should try them again because they're awesome. Okay, so this is the second section. We have this crazy hairline shaped section. Not that your hairline's crazy, you're not, but the section shape is crazy, okay? And then we straighten this out.
Adrian is wondering if Becca's hair was a lot thicker. She said 4 times thicker. Would you still cut it dry?
Yeah, if it were 4 times thicker, I would absolutely cut it dry. Like the thicker someone's hair is, the more likely I am to cut it dry. It just gives me like that room to like go in there and debulk as I'm going along. Okay, so now like this section here, I'm gonna bring everything to this point where the part meets the previous section, right? And then my guide is gonna come from this point right here.
Will all the subsequent sections pivot right off that same point?
No.
No, they move
We're
in.
gonna travel after
Okay, they
this.
move.
So same thing, we're gonna lift this up, and there's actually a little bit of that guide in there. So that's our point A. See how I'm like moving my shears and cutting rather than actually sliding. And I'm going for like this little arch crescent shape here.
So from the length of the bang, it kind of curves into the length that was existing. So is it helpful to kind of cut the perimeter length first if you're going to use this technique?
It is, and I actually cut Becca's perimeter right before we started, just right across the bottom. If I'm doing a really layered cut, but like heavily layered, like, okay, for example, her length is right here. I'm creating an arch to like maintain more weight at the bottom, but sometimes if someone wants like a real like wolfy kind of cut, I might cut a little more horizontally, which means I might take some of that length off. So in cases like that, I tend to like to cut the interior first and then go back through and cut the perimeter. But in a case like this where we wanted to preserve her length and she had a specific like length in mind, I cut the perimeter first so I can cut the layers to her perimeter. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So just soft.
Lots of people appreciate that your hair, Rebecca, you know, saying it's great to see a lesson on finer hair, you know, because it's obviously something that people are challenged with in the salon all the time.
We appreciate your hair, Becca.
We appreciate you.
Okay, so again, short to long this way. All of her length is maintained right there, and it falls and it sits short to long that way.
You know, I have found, I do a lot of razor cutting and a fair bit of dry cutting. I've found that, you know, recommending the right shampoo, conditioner, and things like the oil make a big difference for the client because, I mean, in a good way, similar to color, this kind of cutting, it does kind of change the cuticle a bit. You know, it's not like a blunt cut. You are roughing it, even though you're not damaging the hair, you are kind of changing it a little bit, which gives it the body, the texture, the separation. But if you want it to feel soft and feel nice to the touch, the way Becca was saying that it felt silky, you know, something right here, Damage Shield from K18, the shampoo, the conditioner, and then the molecular repair oil. That's something you definitely, you know, even if it's, I think we always think about this stuff for people who have color in their hair, a lot of color, but lots of times I'm not a colorist, so I think about how cutting can affect the cuticle and change the hair texture.
Absolutely, you want to give it some love.
Can you mention, Paula is wondering about your shears. What shears are you using?
These are fancy swivels in 6 inches.
From Fancy Hairdressers,
Yes.
Our friend Jacob Kahn, Ben White. And you guys are all getting together in New York on March 3rd.
Yes, March 3rd, Fancy Fest. So we actually sold out completely last week, but we dropped tickets today, like more tickets. We changed our venue. We have a little more space, so I don't know how long they're going to last, but head to my link in bio to get the tickets, and you can use my code ADAMCHEN for like a little, you know, fancy discount.
Yeah. So what we did, guys, was we have a big venue for March 3rd. Hairbrain, the awards is on the evening of March 3rd. So we have a big New York nightclub. And when Jacob and Emily and Tabitha Duenas and Tim said, hey, we need more room, I said, well, why not just do it in our club during the day? So it's going to be a full-on day where you can go and get education with this great lineup and then go out and have some dinner and then come back and have a party. You've been to the Hairbrain Video Awards before. Did you have fun?
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun. All right, so now we're starting in the back. We took a center vertical section. Same movement, right? We're going to put our fingers up here at the top. Move the comb so it's straight up and down. Lift this up. Look at all that hair that drops out of the back. That's going to help preserve a lot of thickness on Becca's end.
And that's all going to come from like the occipital bone down. That's
Yes.
just gravity and again, working well with the shape of the head.
So we're going to grab a little guide from the previous section, right there. So again, this isn't like one of those crisp, like, guides when you're cutting wet. This is kind of like a suggestion. Like we want to kind of start it like right about there. And enough hair has fallen out where I feel like she's going to have like a nice, like thick bottom. Yeah.
For once, it wasn't me that said something. Yeah.
Thanks, Meg.
Yeah. For once, it wasn't me. Nothing to add to that.
No. Softening that up. I mean, there are 2 reasons why I let that drop. So one, of course, is to preserve thickness at the ends. But the other reason is when you're working with long hair, if you layer below the occipital bone, you're going to end up with like a little shelf. Like have you ever done someone's layers and you blow dry them and no matter what you do, you can't get rid of this shelf on the last bottom inch. You try to blend it, you go in there with your thinning shears and it's like still there. That's because if you cut below this occipital, you're technically graduating the hair. Any hairs that you cut from here on down creates graduation, and when it falls, it'll just kind of hang. So on long hair, I like to make sure that all the hair from the occipital down meets the same point. Like on thick hair, I'll go in and point cut, but I'm not going to drag it out 90 degrees and cut it unless I'm expecting some sort of like little shelf. Like in a wolf cut or a mullet, like that's totally cool, it works, but not for like a long layered cut. Okay, so now we're gonna split this section into 2. The next few sections are gonna be pivoting. We're gonna go from here to here to here to here.
I should do that. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with K18. How did it start? How did they end up choosing you and working with you?
So I've been a K18 user for like the last year and a half, and they randomly reached out to me one day, like just about a year or so ago, and asked if I wanted to do some like sponsorship work with them. And they were the first company ever to reach out to me on social media and ask me to do some sort of like sponsored post. And I was, of course, like, yes, because I love K18, I've been using them. And I knew that when I started doing these posts, if I were to do it, like I'd want to do it with brands that like I actually use and actually work with. So it was crazy that they were like the first ones, and I was so excited. So I did maybe like 2 posts with them or so, and then I just got an email randomly, like it was like May, like the month before the shoot, and the email just said, hey, you know, we'd love to work with you on the launch of our new product. And at the time, when I looked at my schedule, I almost said no because I had a vacation scheduled and it was gonna be like right after my vacation, and I had never taken 2 weeks off from the salon ever since we opened 5 years ago. I was so scared. So I'm like telling the girls in the break room, I'm like, I can't do it. It's 2 weeks. That's like way too long. And Megan, our esthetician, was like, Emily, like you have to go. Like you have to do this. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll do it. And I did it, and everyone here held the fort down. Like you guys killed it that week. So, you know, I have my salon team to thank for that. So went on the shoot. It was awesome. I had a blast. It was my first time doing anything like that.
And now I know you're a featured model, though it's one of the things K18 does that's pretty cool. From when they launched, they used hairdressers as their models.
I love that. I love that they could have just hired like actual models for the shoot, but they instead decided to feature people that actually use their product. So it was me, Tabitha, who was just on live last week with you guys, Marcel from NOLA, Angela from the Netherlands. Like it was cool that we got to be featured, you know, for this launch.
Did you guys also do some models? Did you do stuff for the shoot, or were you just were the models?
Let's see, Tabitha and Marcel did. So I haven't gotten to see what they did just yet. They kind of described it to me, so we'll, you know.
Tabitha is saying our trampoline moment was hilarious.
Oh my God, that was my favorite. So I was on a trampoline, they had me like jumping up and down, and there's this one woman, her whole job was to hold a leaf blower at my face. Like that was just all she did the entire shoot. So I was just having this like Beyonce moment and bouncing. And I'm just like, what do I do? And they're like, just jump. Just jump. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome. All right, so jumping back into the haircut, yes. Have the two sides met up yet?
Yeah, so while I was here, and I was gonna explain it on the other side, so I pivoted all the way until I got to this junction, and I picked up the junction as my last section, did the same thing, brought it up, and I just blended the two, short to long. So I'll show you this on the other side. So we're back in the middle. I can easily find my first section because I know that it was in the middle, so all I do is just section it down the middle. Okay, so we're gonna pivot. Over direct. Look for my guide right there. You guys see it? So I took that off, and now I'm just gonna soften any areas that look heavy to me. So like this piece looks kind of heavy, this piece looks fine, this piece looks fine. So when I'm going in and like debulking, I'm not just like randomly going in.
You're looking through the hair, like looking to see where the dense areas are.
Because not only do I want my line to be even, but I want the weight in the line to also be even.
You can also kind of do some fine tuning with color this way too, right? You know, like kind of if you feel like there's a little too much dark in there, kind of work some of the dark, or if the blonde is too kind of concentrated in one area, it's kind of like color cutting.
Yeah, we're like highlighting and low lighting, like cutting. Okay, there's my guide, right? I can see it. So it's not like I'm not using a guide, I have one. And now I'm gonna go in and make sure the weight looks even all over. So it looks a little weightier right here. And right there. All right, so now we're coming up to the junction, right? Between the sides and the back. So I'm gonna combine those two sections together right here. That's the junction. We're gonna bring this up. Here, let's go this way. So 9 times out of 10, it just does this. It looks like it matches right up. I see one straggler. And then there's nothing to cut, then don't cut it, right? So this looks great to me, short to long, looks like the weight's even.
So you've cut off, quite a bit of hair. And, as we've mentioned, Becca's hair is on the finer side, but it actually looks thicker now than it did when you started. And you can see how smooth it is. And again, all that's been used, the shampoo, conditioner from Damage Shield, and then the molecular repair oil, and the hair looks smooth and really pretty. Really nice lift there.
Oh yeah. So now I'm gonna just double check the perimeter all over before we go into styling. I'm pretty happy with it already, but I need to be a crazy person and go in 400 times just to make sure. It's my toxin trait. Okay, so I'm gonna start with your frame. Look over this shoulder, other shoulder as far as you can. I'm gonna get this out of the way. So the reason why I'm having her look over her shoulders is to get her shoulder out of the way so I have a flat surface to cut on. So sometimes I'll turn the chair so that in order to see themselves, they have to look in the mirror, because I'm telling you, just tell them to look over their shoulder, their heads are gonna slowly go like this, because everyone just wants to look in the mirror constantly. So turn the chair, look in the mirror. Now we have a flat surface, right? Okay, so I'm gonna comb all this down.
I mean, we hear it all the time from clients, but her color looks so much better right now. After cutting, it's just I'm sure you get that all the time. People saying, oh, wow, I don't know why, but my color looks better. And I think it's like you said, as you're looking through and working out the darker pieces, using some of that kind of slicing technique there.
Yeah. Just cutting it where it lives. Okay, so if I have a spot that I can't really get with my shears right there, I'll do this. I'm gonna switch spots with you real quick. I'll section this off, and I will put my hand in here, but I'm gonna hold it a few inches up from where I'm gonna cut and just let it drape. I'm not holding it down here because, again, if I do that, I'm pinching it in an unnatural position, and it's not going to fall the same when I let it go. So if I do need to pick it up and elevate it, I will, but I'll hold it up here and then do that. I can see this corner right there. Do you see that? That needs to go.
You're not bringing the holding hand around to the angle. I think sometimes people do that automatically with any kind of framing. You're letting it fall more naturally and just trapping it in your fingers.
Okay, so I feel good about that corner. And I'm gonna drop it. And I feel pretty good about how that's falling.
Looks great.
Cool. So now let's do the other side. Turn around with that shoulder. Or actually, we're just gonna do this. You're gonna pretend there's a mirror there. Okay, so I see a couple little things I wanna tweak, right? Right there, a couple little stragglers. Another reason why I like swivel shears, when I'm on this side, I'll just do one of these. And I can easily turn them in that way. Makes my life easier, and I like things that make my life easier. And again, I think I'm gonna lift that just a little bit so I can get real precise. I head to this side again.
So, I mean, essentially you put in this frame at a very, very high elevation, which makes it soft and really blended and seamless. And now checking it at natural fall to just take off any of that kind of weakness from all that elevation. So it's a nice balance between strength and softness.
Yeah. Cute. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about that, right? And look straight ahead. Now let's just make sure that the bangs match on both sides, and I like the weight.
Now, did you just soften those up as you were doing the layers?
The bangs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went back in and just softened them up a little bit. I'm just gonna pull this up. I think I see a little straggler. Right there. Okay, so I'm feeling good about how they're sitting.
Balance looks good. Sometimes people, cutting freeform like this, it's hard to get the sides to look balanced, but it looks like you're able to really get a nice balance from the left to right.
Yeah. All right, let me show you guys the back real quick. This is another reason why I love dry cutting. if she were to wear her hair stick straight, like it is right now, you don't see any layers. It looks like it's one length, right? Everything is really, really seamless. And then the second she moves or walks around, she gets a lot of this movement and lift. And I love what it does with her profile because she gets like crown height, which sometimes is a struggle when you have fine hair. And she still has enough hair at the bottom to have like a thick, to have thick ends. We're gonna call it that this time.
It's interesting, again, as we've noted a few times, Becca's hair is a little bit finer, and she's been using the Damage Shield shampoo, conditioner, even the mask. Her hair doesn't seem weighed down at all. It's the opposite. It looks really silky, but with lots of volume.
All right, so speaking of volume, we're gonna now zhuzh this up, okay? I'm using
Segue.
This is Babyliss Prima Iron. Love this thing because it heats up on the outside too. And I can just do cool
That's good to know.
Yeah.
You gotta know that before you pick it up, right?
Yeah, that too. Yeah. So I'm just gonna hold this. I'm gonna iron the bangs in pivoting sections, right? So they're gonna look like little pizza slices. We're gonna hold this up.
We're all hungry.
Yeah. I'm hungry all day, every day. Like all my analogies are food analogies. So I wanna see that C shape happen, right?
So what's the benefit of heating up on the outside?
So if I want to curl the hair, I can. I'll just wrap it around the iron. I mean, you can do that with a regular iron too, but it just works a little bit better when the outside's a little...
Do you use round irons at all, or do you always just feel like this does everything you need?
No, I use curling irons
You use
too.
curling irons?
Yeah. Okay, so we have our two pivoting sections. I just did two little C shapes. I didn't like this last one, so I'm gonna go back.
What didn't you like about it?
I felt like it curved a little too much on the bottom versus all over. Okay. Cute. So there's one side. We're gonna do the same thing to this side. I'm gonna bring your chair down. Okay, pivoting section. Pull this towards the face. We're gonna give it a nice swoosh. Cute, right? Let's do the next one.
So you're just pivoting, two pivoting sections within the curtain bang and a nice kind of wrist. It's all in the wrist, huh?
All in the wrist, Gerard. Cute.
Yeah, again, we have a question about, if all of this would work on very thick hair, the styling, the cutting.
Absolutely. This is my go-to technique for really thick, long hair.
And can you tell us the name of this iron again? Nana is wondering.
This is the Babyliss Prima 3000.
The Prima 3000. It's like your voice should echo when these are Prima 3000.
We're just doing a little 180 twist.
So just turning it 180 degrees.
Yeah.
And that's all you did there.
And then giving it a little twist and letting it cool down. We're also gonna fluff this up in a minute. It's still a little flat, but I'm just kind of setting everything first.
And again, this is with well-conditioned hair, with the oil in it. You even had the professional treatment. So again, the old kind of, I've been doing this long enough where people used to come in and say, don't put any conditioner on my hair. I don't want it flat. I don't know if you still hear that these days. Do people still say that?
Here and there, but we try to educate our clients. And
yeah, it's definitely not true. Things have changed.
Yeah, and that formula is specifically just it's lightweight, super lightweight, and uses ceramides instead of silicones and waxes to smooth the hair.
Talking nerdy.
A little nerdy, I love that for me. Okay, so again, curling and just kind of twisting with my fingers and letting it just sit in this shape to cool down while I get the rest. Look down for me, Becca. Cool. So clamp, 180, and then just glide that down.
So you've mentioned that you've had your salon, Brooks and Harlow, for 5 years.
Yeah.
How's that journey been for you?
actually. We're a team of 14. We have an incredible group. We've got 2 of them here today, and it's been cool. It's been an adventure. I mean, we've been open for 5 years, but a lot of these people here have worked with me for 10, 15, some years. A lot of my previous assistants are working here today, and we're a good group. Like, I'm really thankful.
And how's the holiday season been?
Crazy. It's been crazy. It's been busy. You know, during the holidays, you have like clients coming in from like the woodwork, like people you haven't seen in like an entire year, calling you like, hey, can I get in? Can I get in tomorrow? So, you know, we're crazy, but fun.
Yeah, it's just, you have to kind of decide what your working style is, right? There are a lot of people out there that feel like that's, you know, what do they call it these days? You know, like being overworked and hustle culture. Like personally, yeah, and I love hustle culture as a hairdresser. It's like, this is my favorite time of year and squeezing people in. But okay, some people, it just doesn't work for them. You know, they just can't, they need more downtime or...
And that is totally okay. I think if someone needs a little more downtime, then do it. Like, everyone's different. I love the hustle.
Yeah.
I love like just packing my schedule. Like, you guys all know, like I always have like 700 things going on. But like, I feel good and I feel accomplished like when the thing is done, and I'm like proud of myself for it, and I like live for that. But it's not for everyone, and I completely understand that. So you have to do what works best for you.
All right, so we've got the cut in. We've had the hair cared for properly with the fantastic new Damage Shield shampoo and conditioner from K18. Also, the professional molecular repair hair mask and the oil. And it looks like you're going to add one other product, something that K18 doesn't make.
Yes, this is Davines Dry Texturizer Spray. So I'm going to have you tilt your head all the way back for me. And we're just going to like load this on.
So this is it a hairspray or what kind of a product is it?
It's a texturizing spray, so it gives her kind of this grippy, beachy, sea salt kind of vibe. I'm just spraying an entire cloud full of it into her hair, like straight ahead.
Vavoom.
Ooh, okay.
That's how we say it in Italian.
So going in.
It's really impactful how just those few little twists with the iron. I mean, if you've been watching this, 10 minutes ago, Becca's hair is pretty much what we'd say bone straight. Obviously, the cut made a huge difference, but then that simple styling and the use of product, and again, knowing that the hair is so silky from the K18 and you were able to get this much volume speaks volumes.
Hey, Meg, can you do me a favor? Can you grab a hand mirror and just kind of hold it right there so I can like judge this a little bit?
You can face this way if you want to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, well...
You're all right.
The ring lights here. We were talking about like weird like angles earlier.
See me?
Nope.
Lower?
Nope.
Teamwork.
Maybe not.
Teamwork.
There you go.
Okay. That was close.
Yeah. Ooh, that's cute. I'm like working here like without a mirror, but I want to face that ring light. Okay, so this is what I love. Angle it down a little bit. About a cut like this. The ponytail. Like she can do this really, really cute ponytail, bring down like little pieces around her face. Ooh, that's cute. Can you see yourself in there? Because it's so
A little bit.
A little bit, just like the top of your head. That's fine.
That's so
You'll see
cute.
this later in live. Like turn your head to the side. Like how cute is that?
I love a good ponytail.
I love a good pony. And the other side.